You're here because you want to learn how to paint koi fish that are flowy, watery, and use two essential techniques, wet on wet and wet on dry, to get those natural blends combined with those sharp, crisp details. So let's get started. The first step is to dampen your paper slightly. We don't want it soaking wet, but we do want a little bit of dampness. And I'm just going to go in to form the shape of the fish using a super light mixture of, in this case, just a light blue. And then using wet on wet technique, I'm dropping in the darker pigment just by dabbing my brush and allowing that paint to spread. And I'm not looking for detail here. I'm really just trying to get some of those blends happening. And while it's wet, you can start to add some of your deeper tones to allow them to blend in, to model the fish and give it some form. While the paint is down and wet, you can pull it out to get some of those suggested fin marks. And you could do the same here. I'm dropping in a little bit of water and looking for it to give some texture to imply that the fish has scales. So when you feel like your first color is damp enough, you can add a second color. And if you have it be a little bit thicker, it's not going to run and get away from you. I did feel like this fish had a little bit of that same orangey tone up toward its snout. Snout, is that correct for a fish? Well, that's what I'm calling it. Anyway, so I added a little bit up there. And now I'm just going in with a shadowy color, and I'm giving it a little more depth and increasing those values kind of step by step. And I can see as my paint is drying lighter that I want to go in and really enhance those spots. So I'm giving it that second layer, allowing it to overlap in some spots and be darker in others. And for the eyes on the kois, I really just paint a slit, and then I pull out some of that pigment to give a little bit of shading around to again imply the form. And for the fins, you can do it a variety of ways. You can either add the paint down and pull it up, or you can do what I did here, which was just add a little more of a very light mixture and then pull it back into the fin. And for that, I'll call it a dorsal fin. Sorry, I don't know my fish very well. But I did want to give it a little bit of dimension and show that it's on another plane. So I deepened the color and used a little bit of negative painting at the tip to have it pop off. So now for our other fish, this one is primarily orange, but there's a lot of blending. So I'm going in really wet, and I'm just going to allow the paint to go crazy. And I'm not worried if it matches the reference photo exactly. Kois are all different, so that you can just have fun with it. If you touch the wet paint with more water, it is going to invite that color to spread. So just be mindful of that. Only do it where you're okay with the two colors blending. And then with the smaller brush, again, you can pull out some of that color to define the fin. And I'm always looking to follow the contours. I say it in every video, but that is what will give your subject shape. So we know a fish is round. We don't want it to appear flat. So we can use that to our advantage and curve our brush strokes so that they follow that shape. And then for this last fish, we're not going to see much of it. It's just going to be the tail And it's really just to help balance and give us a nice odd number of subjects on our page. I do think it's important when you're painting kois to make sure they're fluid and they have motion. They're not straight, they're swimming and bending and curving, and a lot of times they'll overlap each other. So try to capture that in your layout. So I'm going back to the other fish as they dry, and I can add that wet on dry layer where you get crisper lines and you have more control over the paint. So here we can go on top, always looking to enhance the structure of what you're painting. So where are important points? I felt like the mouth needed to have a little bit of detail. I'm giving the eye a little more detail here to show that it's lumpy. And we can only see the pupil on the one eye, so really we're just implying it's a bump. And then I wanted to go in with more saturated color on top to really punch up that orangey red. The drier you go on with your first layer, the more formed your spots will be. Mine kind of ran loose because you saw how much water I had, which I don't mind. I just go on with another layer on top, but keep it more damp if you prefer to have those sharper lines. So now that we're coming to the end, I really just feel like I wanted to add a little bit of water background, and that's going to connect all three of my fish together and make a more pleasing layout. It's not a necessary step, it's just something that, again, reinforced the water and enhanced my layout. So I can go in here and expose some of my light edges by using negative painting, and I can go in darker behind some of the positives. I hope you enjoyed today. Thanks for joining me.